PAC looks into House of Assembly refurbishment. Fake PNG visa racket busted. And coronavirus to severely impact economic outlook.
This is National EMTV News with Helen Sayer.
Good evening and thanks for joining us for Tuesday's news. A special task force dedicated to immigration and citizenship matters have uncovered a major syndicate involved in producing fake PNG visas. Minister for Immigration and Border Security Wesley Nukunj announced in a statement the Immigration and Citizenship Special Task Force team made the break after apprehending a female Australian national who was in possession of the fake PNG visa at the Jacksons International Airport. The woman overstayed her tourist visa and, avoiding apprehension, collaborated with certain PNG nationals to obtain a PNG visa, but in the process paid for a fake one. She admitted paying 5,000 Kina to another PNG citizen who introduced her to a man who produced and delivered the visa to her at the Gale bus stop after 3 days. The two nationals are being detained at the Boroko police station cell awaiting formal arrests while investigations continue. After almost 3 weeks of tracking, police have finally arrested former chairman of the National Lands Board, Francis Neil Tanga. At around 4 p.m. this afternoon, Tanga was escorted by the Gordon's Crime Unit to Boroko Police Station for formal charges to be laid. According to police, the suspect, along with his agents and associates, falsified documents and bid for Prime Land Portion 2353 at Waigani. It is alleged the suspect then used his cronies to cancel the awarded lease and reapplied under a company known as Joint Mission Movement Limited. Mr. Tanga claims he was not evading police arrest after weeks of hiding.
Police are well aware of that. I got nothing to hide. Allegations, serious allegations have been leveled against me.
Medang's provincial administrator has been ordered by the district court to obey all court directives outlined to him and not to breach those conditions. The district court has ordered that Joseph Kunda Bonomane must present himself every second Tuesday to the arresting officer at the Jomba police station. The district court has also ordered that Mr. Bonomane nor his relatives are to interfere with any state witnesses.
The Medang District Court has adjourned the Provincial Administrator Joseph Kunda Bonomane's hearing to the 6th of April to allow ample time for police to complete investigations. The court heard that the Provincial Administrator was formally arrested by police and charged on 3 charges. The charges include attempting to pervert the course of justice, conspiracy to commit crime, and abuse of office. Joseph Kunda Bonomane is out on a 4,000 Kina police bail and will appear on the 6th of April for his second court appearance. The court heard that on Monday, 17th of February, between 3 and 4 p.m., the defendant, Joseph Kunda Bonomane, was alleged to have conspired with a Joe Jeffrey by offering a 10,000 Kina cash to former Medang Governor James Yali. The court heard that the money was used to induce Mr. Yali to withdraw a pending case against the current Medang Governor Peter Yama. Medang Police Prosecutor Eugene Wanai has applied for court conditions against the Provincial Administrator Joseph Kunda Bonomane. Failure to comply with the orders and conditions will have his bail revoked. Martha Louise, National EMTV News, Medang.
There is a cloud of controversy hanging over the Kokopo War Museum following instructions to have the tourism site closed down. The possible closure follows a blanket ban imposed by the East New Britain provincial government, restricting cruise ships from entering the province, spurred by the quarantine threats from the coronavirus. It is understood caretaker of the Kokopo War Museum, Michael Lusick, has flagged the authorities of the closure as the site depends on tourists to generate its income. Chief Executive Officer of the East New Britain Tourism Authority, Gard Ranson, has refused to close the site as his office has not been given the okay to do so. Meanwhile, tour operators in the province are facing a financial downturn as cruise ships scheduled to arrive in the coming weeks are restricted. Most of the local tour operators depend on the visiting tourists to make money. The ban, however, has left many of them questioning how their business will survive during the ban, as the provincial government hasn't provided any alternatives during this period. You're watching National EMTV News. We'll be back with more after these messages. Stay with us. Welcome back. Papua New Guinea may need to review its economic outlook for the medium term as global economies contend with the wide-ranging impacts of the coronavirus. While Papua New Guineans have been debating over the preparedness of the health system and bracing for possible outbreak, the economic burden brought on by the global pandemic could further cripple efforts to contain the spread of the disease.
The coronavirus pandemic took up just 4 paragraphs of Treasurer Ling Stuckey's speech in November when the government passed the 18 billion Kina budget. Ling Stuckey also urged Papua New Guineans not to panic. Most analysts from global financial institutions have downgraded China's GDP growth rate from 5.9 to 5.6%. Pressure on global markets rose with the Australian dollar dropping against the US dollar. As a small economy in the region, the impacts are being felt in small pockets across various sectors. However, this is expected to become more pronounced as the Chinese economy continues to slow down. Heavy industry imports out of China have been delayed by up to 2 months. Staff from one Papua New Guinean-based drilling company said machine parts they ordered aren't expected to arrive until May. Small business owner Liu Pala says his order of T-shirts has also been delayed.
So we've estimated a loss of about 30 to 40,000 Kina worth of sales because of the coronavirus, and the Chinese are not, the factories are closed. They are not shipping out. They're not shipping out goods now. So our orders are still there, and our customers are waiting. One has downgraded the order, and the other one is still waiting, and we have individual customers too are waiting for stock.
While the Papua New Guinea government is yet to quantify the impacts on the tourism industry, passengers have reported a marked drop in the number of travelers on inbound Air New Guinea flights from Singapore, the main transit port for international travelers coming to Papua New Guinea. Agriculture exports are also expected to take a hit from the global crisis. In February, an oversupply of Arabica coffee bags on the global market saw prices plunge. The dip in global consumption due to the closure of cafes and restaurants. We'll also see a further drop in coffee exports over the coming months. Lower prices will mean lower incomes for Papua New Guinean coffee-growing families. Similar results are also expected to be seen in coffee-growing provinces. Scott Waide, National EMTV News.
Amidst the COVID-19 outbreak, it has been love and solidarity that have helped Vietnam overcome the pandemic. These traits are also traditional cultural characteristics of Vietnam.
Millions of the free masks distributed in clinics, shops and intersections were made by companies who run their chains at full capacity regardless of profit. For them, what's important is that masks are available to everyone.
Money is vital, but helping people is much more important.
Vietnam's creativity and love for humanity have been highly appreciated by the international community.
Kindness is always here. What matters is whether we realize it or not, because kind actions are always done in silence.
The military school of Hanoi Capital High Command in Son Tay Commune had placed 750 people in quarantine at the end of February. More than 100 soldiers, doctors and medical workers here have ensured patients are well cared for. For them, it's both their duty and volunteer work.
Combating epidemics is like fighting against invaders. For us, this mission is our duty.
The battle against the COVID-19 epidemic is still raging. However, Dr. Nguyen Toan Thang, formerly a director at Institute of Culture and Development at Vietnam's National Academy of Politics, says Vietnam has achieved a victory because of people who've come up with correct and creative ideas that keep up with the times. And with love and solidarity, Vietnam is determined to win this battle and grow even stronger.
The Public Accounts Committee has begun an inquiry into the refurbishment of the old House of Assembly located in downtown Port Moresby. The inquiry was set up after numerous complaints were lodged with the PAC. The historical House of Assembly was abandoned in the 90s after fire burnt down 90% of the building. In 2007, an NEC decision paved way for the area to become a historical centre and a replica of the old House of Assembly built.
What should have been a replica of PNG's first House of Assembly has now been called a glorified tucker box.
We refused to get the keys and the emblem and the flag for 2 years.
The Public Accounts Committee, interested in how a prime land and what should have been a national heritage site was handed over to OPH Limited, owned by Costas Cosentino, to build a replica of the House of Assembly and in return to be able to build commercial properties on the neighbouring allotment.
We should be able to establish facts that should satisfy our people as to what happened to this rich history.
First to take oath was Land Secretary Benjamin Sampson.
Place your hands on the Bible.
Benjamin explained that the allotments where the old Parliament House is located had to change 3 times from Section 8 Allotment 11. Allotment 11 was divided into 2 allotments, 18 and 19, when NEC endorsed the decision to allow OPH to refurbish the old Parliament, and the allotments were valued by the Valuer General.
Was for a special purpose, and it was assessed that the buildings to a minimum value of 2,930,000 should have been erected. It's a minimum value of the improvement value. Where did you get that?
After allotment 18, where the old House of Assembly was located, it was valued at 100,000 Kina and allotment 19 at 5 million Kina. The allotments were later changed to allotment 23 and allotment 24 due to boundary changes. Mr. Sampson stating that the NEC decision had Section 8 not open to public tender and the title was handed over to OPH Limited.
The same decision, or in that same NEC decision, NEC approved for the for a company known as OPH Limited to replicate the old Parliament House.
During refurbishment, OPH Limited had then proceeded to build 2 other buildings on allotment 19. The commercial buildings currently leasing office spaces since July 2016.
Entries on the title indicated there is a mortgage to Western Bank PNG Limited, and then there's a couple of subleases. There's a lease to leases to part to Mass Limited. There's a lease also to Number 1 Super Limited. There's a lease also here to QB Insurance, PNG Limited.
The NEC decision took place when Sir Michael Somare was Prime Minister and the Lands Minister at the time was Sir Pukatemu. PAC requesting parties involved in the refurbishing of the old Parliament to take oaths to allow proceedings to follow tomorrow onwards.
Take your oath so that when we resume tomorrow, we can just continue with the inquiry.
PAC also instructing the National Museum Director Andrew Motu to give them a tour of the site in question.
Old Parliament House, so the committee can be able to have a first-hand tour of the replica that is there and be able to appreciate itself.
The now historic centre where the old parliament is located is still not open to the public due to problems with air conditioning. The curator for the old parliament saying he was disappointed with the job done as it did not capture the historic importance of the old parliament house.
It's said that the original building, what it stood for, is no longer represented here.
Adelaide Kari, National, EMTV News.
The Public Accounts Committee inquiry into the National Department of Health Medical Drugs tender procurement process has been deferred until further notice. PAC Chairman Sir John Pundari stating the NDOH is currently dealing with the coronavirus. But the PAC asked those who did show up at the inquiry today to hand over required documents requested by PAC and advised that they will be informed once the inquiry into the Department of Health resumes.
The inquiry into the Department of Health on procurements and distributions of drugs in the country because of the coronavirus. We just didn't want to disturb their attention and their focus to managing what is already a global challenge for our people.
A memorandum of agreement was signed on the weekend between the Morobe Provincial Administration and the National Statistical Office to share costs in conducting the national census. According to the acting national statistician, the conduct of the census is a massive exercise and requires a lot of financial support. The MOA signed with will assist the NSO to implement the House of Listing exercise as a government initiative that's to be rolled out this year. Morobe was the second of the 9 provinces identified by NSO to enter into the agreement.
We at the National Statistical Office do not wish to dwell on the issue of no funding. We need to be strategic. We need to know where the funds should be cut, where the provincial administration should come in, and all other stakeholders should come in. So that is why this is one of the strategies we are engaging with the provinces to share costs. In the memorandum of agreement, there is a matrix which talks about the NSO component of the funding, the provincial administration's component of the funding, and the areas where both can fund. Of course, there is also a column for the development partners there, which we expect some of our development partners to provide some support, either in technical or in some of those procurement of goods and services that we are going to be procuring for the census operations. And so the memorandum of agreement is that linkage and the ties between NSO and the provincial administration, Morobe. Morobe is the second province that we've undertaken. Basically, Morobe is one of the biggest provinces which has a lot of challenges, geographical challenges, as well as the number of population that it also hosts.
The Malaysian Association of Papua New Guinea has donated 40,000 Kina to the Salvation Army of Papua New Guinea. The donation will go towards supporting Red Shield Appeal social, health and education programs under the Salvation Army in the country.
The Malaysian Association of Papua New Guinea has been supporting Salvation Army with donations for almost 9 years now. The money donated today will go towards the Red Shield Appeal program. The Salvation Army's Red Shield Appeal program is a community-based program designed to assist communities in areas of welfare and natural disasters. It commenced during the early 1980s and has been supporting communities throughout the Pacific Island.
We have a significant feeding program which is regular through the settlements, and it can only be funded from donations that come to us through our Red Shield Appeal, which go into our Red Shield funds and are entirely dedicated to the Salvation Army's social work. So, you know, when you think of just the bread and butter things like running vehicles, buying food and keeping staff supported, just for that one ministry alone is a significant thing, and we take great pride and pleasure in that program.
Salvation Army of Papua New Guinea is still continuing to work in areas of community development, health and hygiene, education, welfare, and disaster response and relief.
The Salvation Army is a bit smaller than most other mainline churches, but we feel that we kind of pull our weight as well. But I want to say we can't do a lot of our social work without support that comes from people like Ivan Lu and Mr. Chu and the Malaysian Association, for which we're very, very grateful today.
Malaysian Association of Papua New Guinea Organizing Committee Chairman Ivan Lu says the Salvation Army of Papua New Guinea deserves a donation like this because of the type of work they do in communities and villages throughout Papua New Guinea and other countries.
Every year is giving away to at least 20 organizations. Salvation Army is just part one of it. And of course, Port Moresby General Hospital, Caritas, Technical Secondary Schools, Tambari Children's Centers, City Mission, all are the beneficiaries.
Michelle Stephen, National EMTV News.
National EMTV News continues with more after these messages. Stay tuned. Welcome back to the news. Air Niugini's Destination Loyalty Program and CPL Group's Real Rewards have partnered to launch a joint redemption program to create and add value for their members. The redemption program will give more options for both Destination Loyalty and Real Rewards members to redeem their points for products and services in both programs.
The 101 items, which include a convention oven turbo boiler, Logitech UE Boom 3 portable Bluetooth speakers and many more. These items will be available to Destination Loyalty Program and Real Reward members. Air Niugini Commercial Services General Manager Dominic Kaumu says currently Air Niugini has 120,000 members on their Destination Program. These members can now redeem their points at CPL stores.
People who travel in New Guinea and then points over in New Guinea can now redeem their points through the CPL group of companies. They can come here and purchase something using their points as well. Whereas in the past, they would have only just got airline tickets. Now the partnership allows CPL and New Guinea to go into the partnership on a joint partnership promoting the program as well.
The Destination Program used to be for only purchasing tickets, but now they can be used to purchase goods. There are currently plans for a reciprocal arrangement to allow Real Reward members to redeem their points for ticket purchases and other Air Niugini services.
What this partnership brings is basically the Air Niugini Destinations members are able to redeem or get products which are available for our loyalty members, Real Rewards members, with using Air Niugini points. And the advantage is it's a national airline. We are a nationwide company, so the members are able to purchase these goods from any of our branches across the nation. At the moment, we've got about 100 odd products, but we're adding some stuff from Hardware House, and it's going to be a continuous change. So it's exciting for the customers to say, can they use the Air Niugini Destinations points to acquire goods from our stores?
For now, this joint program will be available for Stop and Shop Waigani Central in Port Moresby. Michelle Stephen, National EMTV News.
Turning overseas now, the whole of Italy has been placed in lockdown in an emergency response to combat the spread of the coronavirus. Measures include a ban on all public gatherings. Schools and universities would be closed across the country. Italy's death toll from the virus has climbed by almost 100 in a day, with more than 9,000 confirmed cases.
Streets once bustling, now barren.
The right decision is to stay home.
Italy's restrictions, the world's most drastic yet.
There will be no more red zones, no more zones 1 and 2. The entire Italy will be under protection. We will avoid movements across the entire country.
All gatherings banned, schools and universities closed, sports suspended, even gyms shut down. Italy's 60 million people now only permitted to travel for work, medical reasons or emergencies. In this intensive care unit, victims are laid face down to help their lungs get oxygen, one official describing a tsunami of patients.
We are near to the collapse in the most organized part of the country.
The elderly are most at risk. The average age of those killed by the virus in Italy is 81. This volunteer delivering milk to a senior citizen urges him to stay home. A ban on visits has sparked riots in dozens of prisons, leaving 7 inmates dead and families furious. New Zealander Annabella Garwood, currently living in Reggio Emilia, says the gravity of the situation is sinking in.
Not many people in the streets. Those that were either wearing masks or they had their scarves right up against their faces. The Italian way of life, that warm feeling that I see every day in the streets, today after 10 months was the first day that I didn't see it.
Her upcoming move to London now uncertain, with containment measures globally gearing up.
The threat of a pandemic has become very real, but it would be the first pandemic in history that could be controlled. The bottom line is we're not at the mercy of the virus.
St Patrick's Day parades planned for next week in Ireland have been cancelled. Anyone entering Israel from abroad now required to self-isolate for 2 weeks.
The decisions we all make as governments, businesses, communities and individuals can influence the trajectory of this epidemic.
An upwards trajectory dramatically slowed in China. Its crackdown, though sometimes heavy-handed, proving successful. Reported cases dropping from thousands to dozens a day. A first-time visit by President Xi to the Wuhan epicentre where it all began. A powerful sign China's worst is over. Laura
The trial of 4 men accused of murdering 298 passengers and crew by bringing down Malaysian Airlines flight MH17 has begun in the Netherlands without any of the defendants present.
It was an emotional start to the trial as the names of the 298 passengers and crew on board MH17 were read out in the court, including that of Sydney man Victor Orishkin. His parents, Serge and Vera, were in the court for the start of the proceedings.
That brings the day that I heard it on the phone, brings the memories back 5.5 years ago when I received that morning phone call at work.
It's very, very heavy. It's very upsetting. However, we are glad to hear our son's name to be remembered.
He's not forgotten.
As expected, the accused, 3 Russians and 1 Ukrainian man, weren't in the court, although one of the Russian men does have legal representation and denies any involvement in the downing of MH17. The court heard chilling evidence that the men had noted with delight that the plane had been shot out of the air.
This is about achieving justice. It's a step towards achieving justice and holding those accountable for the atrocity that occurred in July 2014.
Today is incredibly important for the next of kin. They've been incredibly patient with us over the last 5.5 years whilst we've been doing the work we've been doing, and I'm just thankful that they and like the rest of the world will actually get to hear all that evidence and all that detail over the coming year.
The prosecutors told the court for some of the next of kin the start of this trial is a relief, but for others it's just another burden to bear.
Tales of survival and heroism are being retold as the anniversary of the Christchurch terrorist attack looms this weekend. One neighbour of the El Noor Mosque saved 5 people on March 5th. Today he was reunited with one of them.
How you going, mate?
Nearly a year on.
Oh, I'm wonderful.
These two have some catching up to do.
Oh, good to see you again. Yeah. You're looking well.
Rescuer Len Penihar and survivor Gulsa Ali reunited across the road from where they first met.
I'm here standing only because of him.
Otherwise, I would have hurt myself that day very badly.
He was inside Al Noor Mosque on March 15 when he heard gunfire and fled outside in fear, the only escape route over a 2-metre wall.
I'm just going by the bullet, or I can say by jumping this wall. I had two options.
The 70-year-old finding the strength to get his fingers over the ledge.
I don't know what is the other side of the wall. That was him, he was.
And there I was waiting for you, just about. Yeah.
Len Peniha, who lives next door, was ready.
I grabbed him, just trying to get over it and pull you over. You were quite heavy, you know.
Yeah.
Trying to get you over. It took a little bit of work, but I got you over in the end.
He saved 5 people that day, sheltering as many as he could amid the chaos.
There was one guy who I couldn't pull over the fence, over the wall. He just had his hand on the concrete.
Now both men are on a path to recovery. Gulsa Ali suffered bad gashes to his legs. He's retired and is back worshipping at the mosque. Len Peniha suffered with PTSD, but has moved to a new home with a different outlook.
Oh, God is there to send him. Definitely, I believe in that.
I actually believe now that I was meant to be there on that day as well. Yeah.
That day, horrible as it was, forging a friendship that will last a lifetime.
Up next, some sporting updates in Chukai Sports. Don't go away.
Chukai Sports.
Welcome to Chukai Sports. Hikari United FC team manageress Voni Kapinato is disappointed with decisions made by the referee. She says the team was heavily penalised during their match against Ley City FC over the weekend.
The match over the weekend was aggressive between rivals Hikari United and Ley City FC. There was an incident involving Hikari import Vinicius Krizozun where he was hit in the face, resulting in his gum being cut. Hikari team manager Voni Kapinato has asked referees and officials to take control of the match.
The players, they can play rough, aggressive, that's part of the game. But I need the referee to stand up. He got a big cut in his gums inside, so we have to take him off for his safety. But I love to see the game playing the game, not with a physical to other people. And, I know that Ley City, they're a very good player. I just want to see a good game on the pitch.
According to Kapinato, she says her team was heavily penalized during the match. She has asked for referees to carry out their duties fairly and to also respect the players.
Honestly, if you look at our statistics, it's very heavily penalized on us. But let me tell you one thing that I want all the referees to know. Why you have to talk to a player and telling him to stand up and play? The time is up. You as a referee, you have no right to tell a player from any team that I will give you a red card, I will give you a yellow card if you do that. Please do respect the players, not only for Hikari, but for the players in the country.
Ley City coach Peter Gunemba says referee coordinators should assess these referees and deal with issues raised by teams.
For the referees, I said I don't want to make comments on because it's not my duty to do so, but I feel it like everyone sees it. So it is good that the assessors, they have to really talk to the referees. You see it, you see it yourself, when everyone is in it. So I think it's good that they have to analyze themselves and they lift up their standard of performance.
Elijah Levet, National EMTV Sports.
National Rugby League in Papua New Guinea is mandated to help grow the game. The organisation works closely with schools with the League Long Life program. Game development officers help with teaching the school students rugby league and also key messaging on gender and healthy living.
National Rugby League in Papua New Guinea's main focus is to have the Code of Rugby League taught at the mini-mode and schools level in conjunction with key social messaging on gender inclusivity and the importance of school and a healthy lifestyle. At the forefront are game development officers who are responsible to instill the core values of life and techniques of rugby league to the school children. These game development officers are coaches to those who love the sport and are eager to learn its traits. Game development officers like Roland Andare.
I'm a game development officer with NRL in PNG, and I go out to the schools program where we do well-being and league below life. So it's basically teaching kids on healthy, active lifestyles and keeping healthy habits to progress in rugby league as well as school and yeah.
It is easy for the game development officers of NRL in PNG to pass on the basic skills of rugby league because they themselves are players and certified under National Rugby League to run the junior programs.
Loving the game as well, it's a good thing, imparting skills and knowledge to the next generation of kids that will be, taking up the sport. So it's a good thing, working and doing what you love as rugby league.
Women's Rugby League is growing in Papua New Guinea, and NRL in Papua New Guinea is also supporting the program at the secondary schools and mini-mode level as well. Andare says schools need to focus both on female and male students to grow interest in the sport for both genders.
Reach out to most of the schools and then do a schools program for the girls as well. So we've been mostly focusing on the national schoolboys only. So I think it's about time we try and harness that in the girls competition.
Fidelis Sukina National, EMTV Sports.
Trukai Sports returns with more after these messages. Stay with us.
Trukai Sports.
Welcome back to Trukai Sports. The coronavirus has again had an impact on New Zealand's national athletes, and there's more to come. The New Zealand Black Sticks hockey team's trip to Europe has been called off. Other sports cancellations are likely to increase on a daily basis.
Football superstar Ronaldo left shaking invisible hands, fans barred from stadiums and matches called off all around the world. The Black Sticks, the latest Kiwi team, caught up in the coronavirus outbreak.
A week ago, if you'd asked me whether we were going to Europe, I would have said yes. I mean, it seemed to me that it was going to be safe. A week later, it appears that there's a heck of a lot more that's going on.
The Black Sticks men and women's World Series matches against Germany and the Netherlands, scheduled for next week, postponed.
The thing for us around the European League was just the increased risk in Holland and Germany over the past few days even, and that it's at local transmission level really elevated the risk for us.
With the number of deaths in Europe escalating, months of disruptions lie ahead. Italy, the hardest hit, currently under a total sporting lockdown. All sports events canned until April 3rd. The opening leg of the America's Cup World Series in Calgary on April 23, now under threat as well. It's understood Team New Zealand is the only entry to have sent its boat to Italy, with others holding off until a decision on the regatta is made. It's not just that, our Olympic rowers are also playing the waiting game. Italy's city of Varese is set to host the upcoming World Cup 2 regatta in June. The International Rowing Federation FISA is meeting tonight, a decision for those athletes coming as early as tomorrow.
She lost an arm to a shark attack, had 2 children, and also took a break to make a documentary. Now Hawaiian surfer Bethany Hamilton is making another major competitive comeback.
Watching Bethany Hamilton take on the world's biggest waves, you could easily forget she was ever asked this question.
You think you're going to surf again?
I think. I know. It was 2003. She was 13, an up-and-coming surfer who had just lost her arm to a 4-metre-long tiger shark. She was back on the water 1 month later. In less than 2 years, she was a national surfing champion.
Once I got my
my first wave, there was like no turning back, and I was just on a mission to become the best surfer I could be, regardless of what my body looked like.
Her mission continuing after another drastic physical change as well. 6 months after the birth of her first child, she'd be doing this, before toppling some of the world's best to finish third in the Fiji Women's Pro in 2016. A life spent refusing to conform to the labels so many placed on her.
I think if I thought of myself as disabled, I probably wouldn't be where I am today. And my surfing is at the level of the best of the best, so it's only natural for me to compete against the best of the best.
After another break, this time to make a doco, she'll soon be back amongst top competition again, heading to our shores as a wildcard at the Piha Pro next week. The 30-year-old's aiming to make it to the World Surf League next year, where she'd not only be the lone amputee, but the only mother as well.
Rather than thinking about competing and being my best and like surf all day long, it's like, no, I gotta go home and be mom now.
Surfer, survivor, inspiration, mum. Ironically, in refusing to be typecast, Bethany Hamilton's earned a lot of labels.
And that ends Chukai Sports. The weather details coming up next.
Chukai Sports. Chukai Sports.
This weather update is proudly brought to you by Money Plus. With you always.
A look at the weather forecast for tonight and tomorrow. Cloudy with chances of morning showers tomorrow in Port Moresby, Kerema and Alotau. A shower or two in Daru. Showers and thunderstorms in Popondetta. In the Mamasa region, generally fine. Partially cloudy in Lae, cloudy with a few showers in Wewak and Vanimo, some showers and thunderstorms in Medang. In the New Guinea Islands region, mostly fine with cloudy periods in Lorengau, some showers and thunderstorms in Kokoporabao, Kimbe and Buka, cloudy with chances of evening showers in Kavieng. And in the Highlands region, cloudy with rain showers tonight and tomorrow, then morning fog right across the region in Mount Hagen, Goroka, Kundiawa, Mendi and Wabeg. There is a renewal gale wind warning for all coastal waters. Very strong northwest winds of 34 to 47 knots are expected to continue for the next 6 to 12 hours, causing very rough seas. All small crafts and boats are advised to take necessary precautions before going out to sea. There is also a strong wind, renewal strong wind warning for all coastal waters. Very strong northwest winds of 25 to 33 knots are expected to continue for the next 24 hours, causing very rough seas. All small crafts and boats are advised to take necessary precautions before going out to sea. Forecast for small crafts for the next 24 hours. Waters of PNG, southern PNG Indonesian border to Daru, to Yule Island to Hood Point, Armour Coast to waters of Finschhafen through Vitias and Dampier Straits, to Siasi Island to Long Island, including waters of West New Britain, seas of 1.5 to 2.5 meters. Waters of Hood Point to Samari Island, and with eastern and western Milne Bay Islands, including waters of East Cape to Cape Vogel to Finschhafen, seas of 0.5 to 1.5 meters. Waters of Long Island to Medang, to Bogia, to Wewak, to Aitape, to northern PNG Indonesian border, seas of 1 to 2 meters. Waters of Manus and its western group of islands, and with waters of New Ireland, East New Britain and Bougainville, seas of 0.5 to 1.3 meters. A look at the ocean forecast for PNG areas in the Coral Sea. Seas moderate to rough with northwest winds at 25 to 33 knots, increasing to 40 knots at times. In the Solomon Sea, seas slight to moderate with northwest winds at 10 to 20 knots, increasing to 33 knots. In the Bismarck Sea, seas slight to moderate with northwest winds at 10 to 20 knots, increasing to 25 knots. And in the Pacific Ocean, seas slight with northwest winds at 10 to 15 knots.
The weather update was proudly brought to you by Money Plus, with you always.
And before we go, here's a look at our top stories again. The Public Accounts Committee resumed today, inquiring into the purchase of land of the former House of Assembly. Police finally arrest former chairman of the National Lands Board, Francis Neil Tanga, suspected of falsifying documents, and PNG Immigrations uncover fake visa syndicate in Port Moresby. And that's been National EMTV News this Tuesday, 10th of March 2020. On behalf of the news team, a pleasant viewing. Good night.